Hello viewers, and it is my pleasure to welcome you once again for the Stakeholder Outreach Initiative by P3 World Council. We are glad, and it has been a wonderful experience taking you around the world to give you a pulse of regional as well as the global markets. How are they responding to the COVID-19 pandemic? How is the business environment got affected? And especially how are PPP projects responding to this entire development? To talk, we are today traveling to Africa. Let's explore Africa more. And we are today in the country of Namibia, and we have with us Ms. Rauna Mukumangeni, who is the director of the Public-Private Partnership Unit, which comes under the Ministry of Finance of the government of Namibia. Before I begin, let me give you a short introduction about Rauna. Ms. Rauna Mukumangeni has 14 years of experience in a variety of fields such as public-private partnerships, procurement, economic research, fisheries management, investment promotion, project appraisal, policy analysis, administration, and real estate. Previously, she has worked at the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources, which is also known as the MFMR, as an economist, and later as a chief economist before she was transferred to the Ministry of Industrialization, Trade and Medium Enterprise, known as the MITSMED, in the same position. At the MFMR, she was involved daily in the management of quotas and fishing rights. At the MITSMED, her duties, among others, included promoting Namibia as a preferable destination for investment, appraising, analyzing, and profiling of marketable projects for promotion by the government. Her academic qualification include a Master's in International Economic Policy and Analysis acquired at the University of Westminster, Master of Business Administration from the Management College of Southern Africa, a program in Investment Analysis and Portfolio Management from UNISA, and a Bachelor of Economics degree from the University of Namibia. She has represented Namibia at international forums, and also currently she is involved in regards to the promotion of the private sector participation in the infrastructure development of the country. Rauna, welcome for the Stakeholder Outreach Initiative, and I want to thank you for sparing some time out of your busy schedule to have an interaction with us.
Thank you for the invitation.
All right. My first question to you, Rauna, as I mentioned in my introduction, one of the initiatives or one of the objectives of this particular stakeholder outreach program is to help our viewers understand the impact of the COVID-19 on different markets across the world. And one of the markets is Namibia. It's a strategic market. We would like to understand from you, how has the pandemic affected the entire business environment in Namibia?
Okay. The effect has been a very negative one. So it has been, our businesses have been adversely affected. The government has put in regulations and lockdown measures that resulted in reducing the number of hours worked, reducing the movement of people, reducing or closing down our borders or ports of entry. And that limited also the movement inside and outside or from within and for people living Namibia. And this adversely affected in that in that the revenue and taxes to the government has also reduced. And a recent survey that was done by the Namibia Statistical Agency shows that 50% of businesses are partially operating, whereas only 21% of businesses are fully operational during this lockdown period, and 3.5% of those have completely closed down, while 25% have also are partially operating. So it has adversely affected. And Namibia also, we have several businesses that depend on import and exportation. Those ones have also been very negatively affected. So Namibia, at the moment, we are forecasting we are in a recession, and it's also forecasted that the economy will contract by a further 7.8%.
Okay.
And that is huge.
Okay. No, economic contraction, in fact, is being experienced by a lot of major African and Asian economies, which we always classify as the emerging markets. And yes, definitely, what you mentioned, the impact has been felt across everywhere. When you mention, Rana, that certain category of businesses have entirely shut down, certain category are just partially operating. Can you please highlight as to which are the major sectors which are severely affected because of this pandemic in Namibia?
Well, according to the survey, which was done in May, as I've indicated earlier, it says that the top affected are the manufacturing, the construction, and then the hotels and restaurants. But in
The
my
service
view,
industry.
because that yes, because in my view, because that the outcome of that survey is only dependent on how many respondents or how many businesses have participated. The Namibian economy highly depends on the informal sector, and in my view, that sector has been the one that has been highly affected because it employs about 57% of the people, and most of our households also depend on the activities. So I think it's the informal sector, in addition to those, that has been affected the most.
All right. Okay. Okay. And Rona, you are currently heading the PPP unit, and I've been following the updates. How has the outlook for PPP projects got affected? How do you see the entire PPP development for Namibia in the midst of this COVID-19 pandemic?
Well, in my view, the outlook is not that positive, neither is it rosy. Um, uh, we've had challenges already before the COVID pandemic hit, and the pandemic has just come now to make it worse.
Okay.
If we are looking, for example, at the social projects, and these are projects that depend highly on the public funds, and it means that government now also has to refocus or to reallocate their resources to dealing or to solving issues more or in the education and health sector. Yeah, in the health sector. So it means that they will have to reallocate their resources in a way that they are taking it from other areas.
Correct.
And knowing that PPP is not an emergency procurement.
Okay.
It's not an emergency procurement, meaning there are other options to use other procurement methods. It means that that PPPs might not be the preferred method right now, because for a PPP project, it requires at least a robust assessment, which might take anything to more than 12 months or 12 months of preparation. And if we are talking about projects that required a solution as in months ago, you cannot tell somebody and expect them to have patience to wait another 12 months while you are preparing a project.
Correct.
But for economic or self-sustaining projects, which we would expect that we undertake at the moment, perhaps that one, the outlook might be a little bit rosy, but also relatively it's not.
Okay. No, I mean, I'm trying to understand, Rona, here. What you mentioned is correct. Resource allocation, or rethinking of resources which are available right now in the midst of the pandemic, where the risk appetite has gone low, and there is uncertainty in the market. I certainly understand that. But when you mention right now, because when we are seeing across the world, because of the pandemic and because of the limited government resources, most of the governments are going for the private sector participation, to just boost up the growth, or to just have involvement of the private sector, where the risk is spread out and equally shared with the private sector. So is the PPP unit considering on those lines? I mean, what are the, I mean, apart from the, what you mentioned that the assessment time takes a lot of, it's a delayed process. So are there any other challenges that you are facing?
Yes, there are quite a lot of challenges that we are facing. One of them is capacity building.
Okay.
You know, PPPs are relatively new to Africa and to Namibia.
Correct.
And changing the mindset, be it of the decision makers, be it of the technocrats, takes time. And people were already used to a traditional procurement method. And for as long as we still have that option and flexibility available, it's a challenge to talk about PPPs and expect that people would automatically jump on that bandwagon of implementing projects through PPPs, given also the time it takes to prepare a PPP project. The other one is is the lack of credible prepared projects to the market. Of course, that is the factor that leads to that is also capacity, available capacity, be it individual or institutional capacity, and also political support. We know that political will or support is one of the main issues that determines whether a PPP program for any country will fly or not.
Okay.
However, these are all, I would think, issues that can be addressed. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. But when you mention about one aspect, I'll come to that with regards to capacity building. But other thing that you mentioned about the lack of political support that is needed to, take up such ambitious project. How is it? What would be your comments with regards to any support from the multilateral development banks or financial institutions? I mean, have you approached them? I mean, how has been your experience about on that front for Namibia?
I would say that we have a very positive experience with those. They are there and they are willing to help. It's up to the country needing assistance to reach out. And if you have a well-formulated proposal, they review it, they take it, and then they give you support. And we have that experience in that we have reached out to about 2 of them, and they have supported us. So I don't have a negative experience with the multilaterals or DFAs at all.
Okay, because we've seen that yes, I mean financing or capital access to capital is one of the major issues which hampers a PPP project. Now, when I'm just trying to analyze with you on this particular interaction, I mean, how is the outlook for PPP projects? So that's where I thought maybe I can just we can explore on that particular front about the involvement of multilateral development banks in just being a bridge to solve this problem, or just boost up the morale of global investors or global stakeholders to be a part of the local PPP projects.
Yes, no, their assistance is out there, and it's really just up to us. One thing that I've forgotten to mention is the lack of project preparation funds. Of course, the multilaterals and other organizations, they wouldn't just give unconditional grants. They expect to partake also in the procurement.
Correct.
But yeah, that is a reasonable and understandable expectation.
One aspect, I'll just come to that aspect now. You mentioned about the lack of capacity building and skill development programs that are required to build up the local workforce, which is very much essential to not only generate jobs but also to have a local participation.
To have 2 people from our unit, actually 4 people from Namibia, will form part of the first cohort. It's only that now this has been delayed by the COVID, and with the given that now people can also not travel because of the pandemic, we don't know how it's going to pan out. But with regards to capacity building initiatives, we really don't have an issue per se.
Okay. Okay.
And we also capacitate our officials, be it from the private or the public sector.
Mm-hmm.
We do one training per quarter,
Mm-hmm.
whereby we capacitate about
Okay.
in the private sector.
Mm-hmm.
So with regards to capacity building initiatives, I believe that we are doing very well. But of course, the people that avail themselves might not be the ones that are having this decision-making powers,
Mm-hmm.
but we will try to elevate it to the executive so that everybody is on the same page.
Okay, I understand that. All right. When you say about PPP projects, Rauna, which are the key sectors? Which I won't say the promising ones, because since you mentioned there are a lot of challenges that are there. But which are the sectors you feel that in the descending order of their priority, that these are the ones that can really give out some good results if they are modeled on a PPP basis? So which are the sectors, if you can highlight for us?
I would highlight the energy sector to be one of them, especially the renewable energy.
Mm-hmm.
The health and housing sectors are also some of the sectors that have promising opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And then the water and transportation, water in terms of bulk water supply and wastewater management.
Okay.
Yes.
So you mean to say that the energy, and then comes the infrastructure, what you are mentioning about with regards to the importance of PPPs, if in case a project has to be modeled on a PPP basis.
Yes, those are the more prepared ones to take up a project under the PPP framework. Mm-hmm. There are opportunities in all the sectors, and ideally they should be more at the forefront. However, the energy sector is the one that is much more ready and mature.
Okay,
yes.
Right. Rauna, being a public sector administrator and having had an experience of working with the different ministries as well, and now being with the PPP unit, since you mentioned these are the challenges, as an experienced professional, in your personal opinion, what do you think should be done basically to understand or to address these challenges, to see to it that PPP projects see what you say a positive trajectory, or an uptake in the global, in the regional Namibian or the African markets?
Well, I think that as Namibians, we still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
Starting with our political masters. Okay. That political will. So far, what we have been doing is a bottom-up approach. We have been reaching out to public entities in search of PPP projects. We have seen that this led to nowhere, and I would think that a top-down approach in a government directive saying that all, of course, it has to be done within the ambit of the law, to compel, if we can find a way to compel public entities that have PPP projects, to say that all those projects that render themselves to PPP should be procured under the PPP framework, because commitment from the government we have seen, okay? We have seen in that government has developed the PPP framework. The act has been gazetted in 2017. Okay. It has PPP regulations, PPP guidelines and manuals. We have also institutions set up like the directorate or the PPP unit, the one I had, as well as the PPP committee. All of those are already in place, but commitment might not just through having developed a framework might not be enough if we have no projects to subject to that PPP framework. So it's that compelling part that is missing. Of course, coupled now with with project preparation funds and the capacity building initiatives that we are doing, we should be able to see some fruits. But otherwise, if we are just having a framework and we are just capacitating, but we are not having any projects to take through, then having a PPP framework might not be good enough. So from those learnings that the bottom-up approach is not working, or it appears not to have yielded any results so far, I would recommend that government really looks at a way on how to compel, because for as long as we have PPP just being an option amongst others, it's difficult to also change the mindset if people were used to certain ways of doing things, to just say, we have a PPP now, let's subject those projects to PPPs.
Correct, correct. Rona, I want to ask you, since you just mentioned that the act was gazetted somewhere like a couple of years back, 2017, if I just got it right, for PPPs.
Yes.
So has the PPP unit, or has the Ministry of Finance, I mean, have you taken up any PPP projects? Are there any success stories on that? How many are, you know, in the tender process? If you can just highlight on that.
Unfortunately not. And that comes down to the fact that public entities have flexibility and an option. And PPP is just one of them. And given the timing or the robust preparing that goes along with it, public entities choose or opt to go for options that do not require maybe a feasibility study, or they do not require that preparatory work. Yeah.
Which
so we haven't procured any PPP project yet, but there are PPP projects in the country that even though they were not done after the PPP law has been gazetted, they are 100% PPPs and a success story also.
That's great to know. No, I understand. I mean, there's a lot of difference between a traditional procurement process compared to how when it comes to a PPP. I mean, the accountability and the transparency of the processes required certainly changes the entire dynamics of a PPP project compared to what a traditional procurement is all about. Well, I'll to summarize and to just come to the close of this interaction. Since you mentioned that. Yes, I mean PPPs, though they are announced, there are no actually, you call it as a PPP success stories. But what I want to understand, one of the things that we usually try and understand for our viewers is to understand the investment outlook for the markets, for the regional markets. Being a experienced professional, Rona, which are the sectors? How is the investment outlook for in general for the markets in Namibia? I mean, which are the markets or which are the sectors rather, which are seeing investments happening? I mean, be it a foreign direct investment or a regional or intercontinental, I mean, within the continent. So are there any sectors which are attracting a lot of investments?
Wow, that's tough. Which one would I say now? I can't think of any right now, because the effect really has touched on all the sectors, and the investors are being wary of where to invest their money. I know there's a lot of capital in the market looking for an investment home, but this pandemic has caused uncertainty for everyone, including investors. And I think at the moment, they are all now watching to see how the different countries deal with the pandemic, for them to be able to decide whether those countries that have succeeded at dealing with the pandemic very well should be the recipients to their investment capital or not. It's really difficult for me to say which one of the sectors in Namibia is promising right now.
Okay. We certainly understand the regional challenges and dynamics, Rona. I mean, certainly, yes, we are going through difficult times, and as you mentioned, one of the major factors to increase trust and bankability on PPP projects is to have a very robust government support or a very positive political outlook. That matters a lot. In fact, in one of our conversations where we were discussing with Central Asia, one country is Uzbekistan that we were exploring. One of the reasons that they are seeing, it's just like 2 years old, the PPP unit is, but they are showing some good positive outcomes and some good results. One of the reasons that came out as a reason that it is happening is the political outlook or the political willpower to bring about a change and a difference. I'm sure we will see some good changes, Rauna, in the coming days, and especially uptake of PPP projects and a positive investment outlook for the country of Namibia. On behalf of P3 World Council, my team, and our viewers across the world, I want to thank you for sparing some time with us, sharing your outlook and whatever initiatives the PPP unit is undertaking. And P3 World Council is certainly committed to support the country in whatever way possible, be it capacity building, be it consulting, or be it feasibility studies. We are open for a support for the governments and nations to help them achieve their sustainable development goals and as well as the national vision agendas.
That's very good to know. And I thank you very much for the opportunity also to partake in this interview. And hopefully, yes, we look forward to bringing more than 5 projects within the next 5 years, credible projects to market. Yes.
In fact, Rauna, certainly we, as a platform that reaches out to the entire PPP ecosystem, we would certainly make it a point that we spread across this message across to all our stakeholders who are there, and certainly the best talent and the best practices which are global, we can certainly get it to Namibia to make sure that it gives some positive success stories on PPPs.
That will be highly appreciated.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rauna. Thank you for sparing some time out of your busy schedule and having an interaction with us.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.